Carol and Isabel, thank you so much for joining us in Scotland tonight. Nat Fraser's conviction was a long time coming, 14 years and 2 trials. Did you feel any sense of closure when he was put away in prison?
I think on the day that he was convicted for the second time, we just felt absolute relief that the whole trial was over and that we could perhaps get a little bit of normality. But as the weeks went past and the dust settled, you actually started to think, well, wait a minute, he's back in jail again. But we're still left with this feeling, you know, Arlene is still out there. Where is she? Will we ever find out? One day you might think, I'm never going to find out. I just have to accept it. She's never going to be found. And the next day you think, well, maybe I will. You know, so this is where it's you know you're fighting with your emotions all the time, and so when you ask me about closure, no.
In the grieving process, how much more difficult is it to go through that process if you haven't got a body to grieve for, Isabel?
It's quite difficult because the way I feel, Nat Fraser's been put in jail. Justice has been done, but that's a different thing altogether. I feel it's like a three-legged table, really. There's always something missing, you know, in the family.
Is it difficult for you not to have a graveside to go to?
Yeah.
Would that bring you comfort?
Only to a certain degree.
Why do you think Nat Fraser won't tell you where Arlene is?
He would need to admit to his family that he was guilty. They've never attended any of the trials that he had, so they don't hear the evidence. So naturally, they're going to think that he's innocent. So if he was to admit to where Arlene's body is, it's admitting to his family as well that all these years they've thought the wrong thing. They've thought he's innocent and he's been guilty. And that's basically the reason I think that he'll never let us know where she is.
He must know.
He must know.
The torture that you're going through.
But that helps him. He always believed we put him in prison. We didn't put him in prison. He put himself in prison, but he has this warped way of thinking that it was our fault. If we hadn't turned up and helped with the investigation, if you like, he might have got away with it, because he thought he would get away with it. That's why.
If that's his mindset, do you think he's ever going to reveal her whereabouts?
No. I don't think he ever will.
How difficult is that for you to come to terms with?
Very difficult. No.
This is where I think we need help from the government. If he was up for parole next week and they said, you know, oh, you've been a model prisoner, you know, there you go, you're released, have a nice life or whatever, where does that leave us? We're no further forward. We continue to live, you know, the sentence, whereas he doesn't. And I also feel if you're withholding information, something really important with a body, surely when he's released from prison, he's continuing to commit a crime against us. He's continuing to lie to his family, lie to the police, whatever. And this is where I think there needs to be a change in the law.
You're only getting out if you tell us where Arlene's body is. Do you think that would work, Isabel? Would you be confident of that making a difference?
It might do, but like I said before, then he has to admit that it was him, it was involved in Arlene's murder. So although I think Suzanne's law is a very good thing in our particular case, I don't think it'll work with Nat Fraser.
See, I feel differently. At the moment, I feel the law's helping him because you know, he'll have served his sentence for murder or whatever, and he would get out. But if somebody says to him, well, you're only going to get that if you put the family out of their misery. But I do agree with Mum, he's going to find it extremely difficult to admit to his family, because I think all he has is his family. So he's going to find it really difficult to actually admit the truth.
If they introduce Suzanne's law, it might help families in the future as well.
Mm-hmm.
Are you hopeful then that it will make a difference to the way criminals behave, the way parole hearings are carried out as well, Isabel?
Yes. They need to shake it up, because the criminals seem to be the ones that's being helped all the time. The victims are overlooked, if you like. So Suzanne's law is going to be a step in the right direction for every family that's in our position.
Nat Fraser has refused to say all these years. If he was listening to this interview, what would your message to him be?
I think he would get, maybe, I don't know if this is the right expression, a little bit more respect if he actually was to do the right thing. At the moment, you know, everybody knows that he's lying, so stop playing games.
What would you say to him, Isabel?
Every time I picture Nat Fraser, I see him having a wee smirk to himself, you know. Here they go again, you know, I've still got one up on them, basically. I haven't got a message for him, because he would just laugh. That's the way I feel.
Do you feel that his behaviour has been very cruel and inhuman,
Yes.
almost?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He knows, he will have seen us suffering. You know, he knows.
And he enjoys that side of it. Because he's always been that type of person that thinks he's cleverer. Or thought he'd be cleverer in the police, cleverer in the court, the justice system.
Are you confident then that the Scottish Government will introduce Suzanne's law?
I'm going to be hopeful. This has given me a little bit of hope, actually. And I'm going to put my trust in them. Because I feel at the moment Nat has a little bit of power. I hate to say this, hate to admit it. He's got a little bit of power because he's got the knowledge. And if we start to get a little bit of say in what could happen, maybe there'll be a little bit of a shift in power. And having a little bit more control of our lives, I think will help us get closure.
Would you agree with that, Isabel?
Yes, I would. You know, he's got one up in us in that respect. So hopefully this will be something positive, you know, for the victims, for a change, because it all seems to be on the side of the criminals.
And the bit of power that he has over you is really the power to give you peace of mind.
Yeah.
Carol and Isabel, thank you so much for speaking to us in Scotland tonight. We appreciate it.
Okay.